Newton News is brought to you in part by the Village Bank. Your village, your bank. Now, from New TV Studio in Newton Highlands, this is Newton News.
Welcome to Newton News for Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. I'm Jen Adams. Newton's public schools have been closed since Friday, January 19th, as Newton's public school teachers are on strike. This affects the almost 12,000 students of the now closed 22 schools in Newton. 1,641 members of the Newton Teachers Association voted in favor of the strike because of the lack of a contract between the city and the NTA. Newton's educators have been working without a contract since the beginning of this school year and have been working on negotiating a new one since October of 2022. Since Thursday, January 18th, the NTA has been holding rallies and picketing at schools and various locations around the city to inform the public that they want a new contract now. The Newton Teachers Association held its first public rally at Newton City Hall on Thursday, January 18th, to let the community know that they were going on strike.
What I want to announce right now is that 98% of our membership tonight voted yes to begin a strike tomorrow morning. The membership of the Newton Teachers Association is standing up for the citizens, the students, and the educators of Newton, and we are saying, Mayor Fuller, enough is enough.
The mayor and the school committee chair held a press conference during the NTA's rally to share their concerns with the teachers' strike.
In Newton, we value education. Students are our number one priority, and we have outstanding teachers here in Newton. The adults belong at the negotiating table. The students belong in the classroom. The NTA should not be putting kids in the middle.
Acting in the best interest of students is the shared mission of the Newton School Committee, NPS administration, the Newton Teachers Association, and the mayor. And thus far, we have collectively failed to come to an agreement that works in the best interest of our students. But I want to be clear. A strike by the NTA, supported by the Massachusetts Teachers Association, is no collective failure. This strike is a choice. It is a unilateral and willful action on behalf of the unions to close our schools. There will emerge no winners from this, only losers, and our kids will lose the most.
Contract negotiations between the NTA and the school committee have been going on since October of 2022. There are currently 4 sticking points that have delayed an agreement between the two parties.
The variables we're really working through are the cost of living adjustments, benefits, and parental leave, along with a host of what they would term working conditions, really us seeking the flexibility we need in the contract to be able to serve the kids and do what's best for them.
The starting salary for my job is $27,000 a year. It is not a living wage. When new job applicants find out what my salary is, they often laugh and they walk away. This means that there is a shortage often of teaching assistants in the town of Newton. My schedule is such that I don't get to attend the meetings where students' needs are discussed, but I must meet those needs. My schedule is such that I do not have enough face time with the students that I must help academically. I do not have enough time to collaborate with teachers, and I do not have enough time to modify curriculum. There is only one solution to this problem, and is to increase the starting salaries of all teaching assistants. The offer that the school committee has on the table at the moment would increase my starting salary to about $29,000 a year. Mayor Fuller, fully fund the Newton Public Schools so that all teachers' vacancies are full and all students' needs are met.
When Ezra, our first, was born in August of 2020, I had 40 days of parental leave. This would have had him in daycare and me back in school when he was 3 months old, excuse me. That's how old he is now. I took additional time off, unpaid. I'm lucky our family could afford it. But it turned out, even if we couldn't afford it, I would have had to do it anyway because of debilitating postpartum anxiety. I got better, and we are excited about the new sibling for Ezra on the way. But not every new parent is going to be as privileged as me. That's why we are fighting for a humane and modern parental leave policy. 60 days for NTA members who want to expand their families isn't extravagant. It's what we deserve. That's right. Mayor Fuller and the school committee, put your money where your mouth is. We are the ones that make the Newton Public Schools excellent. Don't you think we and don't you think our families deserve better?
I hear from far too many elementary school educators about very young children with anxiety, with talk and thoughts of self-harm, with actions of self-harm, or actions that create unsafe situations for themselves or others. They are struggling. Their families know they are struggling. Their teachers know they are struggling, and it is a heavy worry. That is why the NTA proposes a full-time social worker in every elementary and middle school building.
21 of the 24 city councilors of the Newton City Council sent a letter to the NTA calling for an immediate return to in-person negotiations and to not go on strike. Councilors Rena Getz, Martha Bixby, and Bill Humphrey were the three who did not sign on to the councilors' letter.
I know from working on the Finance Committee of the City of Newton City Council that we have the resources to get a fair contract. This is about prioritization. We know, and the educators know better than anybody else, what our students need to succeed and to thrive, and they're not getting it. That's true. But it is not the responsibility of the educators to subsidize what this city wants to provide in services by taking an effective pay cut against exploding cost of living. I'm asking the parents of this city and all the residents of this city to stand in solidarity with these educators because they have been pushed to the point where this is their only option, and it is not their fault that this strike is happening, and they would like it to be resolved quickly just as much as anybody else.
Also on Thursday, January 18th, the Newton School Committee filed a petition with the Commonwealth Employment Relations Board that the Newton Teachers Association was about to go on strike, which is illegal in Massachusetts. And since the NTA did go on strike, on Friday, January 19th, the Middlesex Superior Court issued an injunction in favor of the school committee that the NTA shall immediately cease and desist from induction, encouraging or condoning the strike, work stoppage, or other withholding of services, either directly or indirectly. And the NTA had to publicly state by Sunday, January 21st at 3 p.m. that the strike is canceled, and that members must return to work immediately or face financial consequences. Since that didn't happen and the strike continues, on Monday the Superior Court imposed fines against the NTA. Starting on Monday, the NTA cumulative fines began. If the strike doesn't end by 8 p.m. each night, the first day is $25,000. The second day is $50,000. The third day is $100,000. And the fourth day is $200,000. If the NTA's noncompliance continues after Thursday night, A hearing will take place on Friday, January 26th at noon to discuss a more meaningful approach to ensuring compliance with the law. The fines are paid to the state. Tension between the school committee and the NTA is getting high. On Tuesday afternoon, the NTA walked out of negotiations after what they believe was wasted discussion on issues they did not put forth.
We had presented them yesterday with a comprehensive list of our proposals in the form of a memorandum of agreement, what that would look like if they were to agree with it. At their request, they asked for all of this through the mediator, so we told them, this is what we have on the table. This is what we're asking for. This is what we're bargaining for. This is what we're demanding. And they came in and they wanted to talk about one minor part of our contract negotiations that they had put on the table, and they had wanted to counter. We were picking at language that it was an agreement that should have been done a year ago. It was counterproductive to be in the room talking about this for as long as we've been talking about it. I would say this particular issue that they put on the table, since we've gone on strike, between what time we've put into it and what the time they've put into it, it's been 15 hours. That's ridiculous.
The proposal we've put forth that, look, we think is a very competitive proposal and puts them at the median of the peer districts that they have chosen as their peers, that allows us to move forward, not with cuts, but with additions to programs and services. It allows us to lower our high school class sizes. It allows us to provide incremental elementary supports. It allows us to add 5 incremental social workers. And that's how we want to move forward as a district. We think those are all things that need to be done. So no, there's no cuts under our proposal. Under their proposal, if it were implemented, we would have to lay off 60 teachers next year, and we would have to lay off approximately 60 teachers over the following 5 years. And the high school class sizes, the incremental supports, the social workers, none of that happens. That's why we're in this. They're asking for something that the school committee just cannot give them because it won't allow us to provide what we need for the kids in Newton.
The NTA has been demanding that Mayor Fuller sit at the negotiation table. School Committee Chair Chris Bresky states that's not how it works.
By law, the school committee is the employer, and the negotiation happens between the school committee and the union. Obviously, the mayor is a key component of that, as our funding comes from the city, but the negotiation itself is between those two parties.
Students, elected officials, unions from other cities and towns, and religious leaders are showing their support for the NTA strike to get the contract they want.
So this week we released a letter coming from clergy from the Newton Presbyterian Church, Temple Shalom, St. Mary's Episcopal Church, United Parish of Auburndale, Myrtle Baptist, Elliott Church of Newton, United Parish of Auburndale, Union Church in Waban, the Lutheran Church of the Newtons, the First Unitarian Universal Society, saying, we are on your side.
I'm so proud to be here in solidarity with the Newton Teachers Association, the Massachusetts Teachers Association. Give it up! Also representing my colleagues, Senator Warren, Senator Markey, Congressman McGovern. But most importantly, more importantly, the 300 plus educators who call the Massachusetts 7th Congressional District their home, who teach in this school system. You are nation builders. And of course, your labor is essential and I care about it. But I'm not here simply because I value your labor. I'm here because I give a damn about your lives.
An open letter from the leaders of parent organizations in Newton are asking the mayor, the NTA, and the school committee to provide respectful communications and joint updates so information is not confusing or divisive. As the strike continues, during the mornings, educators are at their schools picketing and walking the streets to let the community know they are on strike and they want a new contract. The school committee, the superintendent, and the Newton Teachers Association put up daily information about what's happening with the negotiations. We'll find out Friday what the Superior Court judge determines for the future of the teachers' strike. You can watch all of the rallies and press conferences live on Newton News' YouTube page. John Adams, Newton News, Newton. Newton News turns 30 today. On January 24th, 1994, New TV aired its first Newton News program with John Frasica and Jennifer Knight as anchors and Lynn Menegon as the first Newton News director. Things have changed over the years. Today, we launch our new graphics and a new webpage on New TV's website. And we expanded onto YouTube in case you missed any of the stories we've done, as well as live stream certain events happening in the city. We'll be celebrating all year by showcasing what stories have been told over the years, as well as hear from past participants. But today, I'd like to share parts of the first episode of Newton News.
If it happens in the schools, if it happens at City Hall, if it happens anywhere in the Garden City, it's on Newton News. New TV 13 brings you a comprehensive newscast for and about Newton every week.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Frasica along with Jennifer Knight. Welcome to this very first edition of New TV 13's Newton News.
New TV enables the Newton community to tell its own stories and at the same time allows young aspirants to a career in media a place to develop the skills this profession demands. College interns in broadcast journalism write, report, shoot, edit, and telecast Newton News each week. Several of these interns have gone on from New TV positions to broadcast network affiliates.
It's the best hands-on experience you can get, and it's true. I mean, I went to school for broadcast journalism, and I've done nothing like I've done here at New TV. Ever since I've been here, I've shot, I've edited, I write, I do all my stuff. It's amazing.
City Hall.
You're watching New TV 13, Newton's public, educational, and governmental cable access channel. Up next, Newton News, New TV 13's news magazine program. This is Newton News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Frasica along with Jennifer Knight. Welcome to this very first edition of New TV 13's Newton News. Our mission on this program is to inform you about what goes on in the city of Newton. We will take you to news, entertainment, sports, and other community events. We will also set aside time to talk in depth with panelists about a variety of subjects pertaining to our city and you. So be sure to join us live, that's every second and fourth Monday night of each month at 6 o'clock. Our top story tonight, the 9-week power struggle continues in the Board of Aldermen. The board has had no leadership since early December, and last week things got even worse. After a grueling 5-hour meeting last Tuesday night, Alderman Richard McGrath, who was involved in a battle for the board's presidency with Ward 7 Alderman Lyle Baker, stepped aside in favor of Ward 2 Alderman Thomas Concannon. McGrath and Baker have both obtained the same number of votes in numerous ballots since the fiasco began last year. Shortly after McGrath stepped aside, Baker did as well because of a prior agreement with McGrath. This has only added more frustration to the other aldermen since Baker's supporters and McGrath backers have disagreed on any compromise candidates. The Board of Aldermen hope to elect a new president by tonight in a special session, and you can see it here live on New TV 13, and that's at 7:45.
The city of Newton lends a helping hand to the victims of the California earthquake. Northern Los Angeles was devastated by the quake last week. You might recall thousands were left without water or power, many more without homes. For this reason, Mayor Mann has decided to serve as a middleman for donations. You can send your checks made payable to any of the locations, any of the organizations you see on your screen. AmeriCare's LA Earthquake Relief, American Red Cross, or the Salvation Army. Send your checks to the Mayor's office, Newton City Hall, 1000 Commonwealth Avenue, Newton, Mass. 02159.
The dream of Martin Luther King Jr. is alive in the city of Newton. Hundreds of people came out to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday at the Second Church in Newton last week. Kids and their folks sang along with the all-Newton Elementary School chorus and listened to several speeches. We are told that similar events are planned for next year.
Sarajevo citizens visit Mayor Mann to appeal for understanding of their plight. The editor-in-chief of Sarajevo's last surviving newspaper spoke with Mayor Ted Mann last week to reestablish the ties made last spring. Discussion centered on a petition sent to President Clinton pledging aid and support for Bosnian citizens. The visit was sponsored by the local chapters of American Jewish Congress and the American Jewish Committee.
Let's take a look at now tonight's feature story, and it's on our friends at the Newton Police Department. And a good group they are indeed. We're going to check with that feature story in just a moment, so stay with us. We want to remind you that coming up in our special discussion segment will be the chief of the Newton Police Department. His name, Frank Gargoni. He will talk with us about some of the things that are happening at the Newton Police Department.
Basically, you have to know the areas that the cars are assigned to.
Neil Atkins, a Newton resident with 20 years on the force, ensures calls are effectively handled, enabling patrolmen to respond within 5 to 7 minutes of a call.
You have to kind of know what the area would be. When we go to the computerized system, the computer will tell you. What you have to know now is when a car is tied up and who to send and things like that. You won't have to know that with the new system. The computers will know. Also, we're going to go to an E911 system. What that means is every time that somebody calls on 911, it will automatically punch up the name and address of the person that's calling.
The Newton Police Department will shortly be using new combined police and fire dispatch computers, which will display caller names and addresses, and also target the appropriate patrolmen to respond to the calls. 24 hours a day, there are 11 officers and cruisers patrolling the city's 11 police divisions. In addition, there are 2 cruisers covering shift changes, 2 traffic cars, officers on foot patrolling city squares, and detectives in unmarked cars. What is it like to be a police officer in Newton? Officer Frank Eldridge has been a patrolman for 3 years.
I don't think that most people understand exactly what a police officer does and what a police officer's job involves and how dangerous it can be. Most people appreciate you when they need you, and otherwise they consider you a nuisance. Like one day you might have an armed robbery, next day you might have a stabbing, next day you might have another serious call, and then after that you might not have anything for a while, and then the same thing happens again, they come in a rash. Sometimes you go all day without a call like that. Sometimes you can go a week, a month without a serious call like that. I think it's every police officer's job to do community policing. Basically what you do is you get to know the people within your division, and by you getting to know the people within your division, they get to know you too, and they're more comfortable with reporting crimes, being witnesses in court cases, because they know that you're there and that you really care.
Officer Tom Geegan has spent 7 out of his 10 years on the force as a patrolman in his childhood neighborhood of Auburndale.
Sometimes the knowledge of, knowing somebody, it helps to diffuse a situation that otherwise could become somewhat hostile or difficult. We're just cruising around, checking the businesses, seeing if everything looks all right. When you're walking a footbeat, you're trying to stay out where people can see you, and you're watching the traffic flow to make sure there's no problems, see if there's any motor vehicle violations that might be going by. Basically check in with the business people, see how they're doing. If they've had any problems, like I said, then, it's visibility, high visibility. More visible, you're more likely you are to deter crime or potential crime anyways. Most of the job is, you're out there patrolling, answering calls for service. Newton's basically a service-oriented department. People calling for ambulance runs when somebody gets hurt or they need assistance. Basically we go to service calls, but the threat of
the dangerous calls are always there.
The Police Department's Community Services Bureau, housing the new video unit and the drug awareness, resistance education, bicycle safety, and crosswalk programs, exemplifies grassroots involvement with community needs. Dare Officer George Claflin informs Newton 5th graders about issues related to drug use.
I have seen a real change, in the city of Newton as far as the kids are concerned, and the relationship between the kids and the police. As I said, when I was growing up, the only real contact you had with police was when someone, did something wrong, committed a crime. And now you see a lot more interaction between the police and the community. Community policing is what they refer to it as, but you see a lot more of that, and that's only going to benefit the community.
Lieutenant Bob McDonald, Commander of Community Services.
If somebody has a problem, they can contact the Community Service Bureau, and we will do a follow-up investigation on whatever it may be. Or if there are some services that somebody wants provided, they would call us, and we would find out if we could provide that service. So that's really what a goal of a Community Service Bureau is to make the community feel comfortable that they can talk to the police, they can call the police if they have a question on something, or if they have something that they want information about, they can call the Community Service Bureau.
Last year, for the first time in 5 years, the Newton Police Department hired 4 new officers. 10 new officers were hired this month and will shortly begin work based in a newly renovated headquarters building. In difficult financial times, the Newton Police Department evidently has a lot to look forward to.
The Newton Chinese Language School is celebrating the Year of the Dragon with a Chinese New Year celebration on Saturday, January 27th at 6:30 p.m. They are also celebrating their 65th year anniversary. The NCLS shared this video with us to showcase their event.
As we begin a new year, the Year of the Dragon, it's my pleasure as Mayor of Newton to wish you a lucky, a joyful, and abundant and prosperous 2024 to everyone at the Newton Chinese Language School. For 65 years, it's amazing the work you do teaching the Chinese language, Chinese arts, Chinese culture to generations of students of all ages enriches all of Newton. Your extraordinary efforts have helped create a city where we better understand and respect one another, something that's particularly important, certainly today, but every day. To Principal Chu, Board Chair Hugh, and the entire Newton Chinese Language School, may the Year of the Dragon bring you a strong foundation for your future success. And let me give it a try. Xin Yi Kwa La. Happy New Year.
Congratulations on your 65th anniversary, Newton Chinese Language School. We in Newton are so fortunate to have your wonderful community in our city. And I am grateful that I've built such strong relationships with you from my time as a city councilor through today. Happy Year of the Dragon.
Bring your Stuffy for songs, stories, and repairs to the Stuffie Hospital and Storytime event on Saturday, February 3rd at the Newton Free Library. The Stuffie Hospital will restuff, stitch up tears, glue noses back on, and get your Stuffies ready for more love. Register online at newtonfreelibrary.net. That's it for this week's Newton News. I'm Jen Adams. If you missed any of this week's newscast, you can watch it on YouTube at Newton_News. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here next week.
This is Newton News, providing you exclusive coverage on Newton's 13 villages.
We're here to bring you the latest of what's happening in Newton.
Whether it's government meetings, education, neighborhood events, or local organizations, your stories are our headlines.
Delivering the news that's focused on you.
We're connected to what's happening and keep you informed and active.
Newton News, 13 villages, 1 community.